used to have 3 of them in here and they were all different, but anyway, that's better. I would ask everyone to please turn their cell phones off. And we'd first of all like to say that we welcome you to the People's House. We appreciate all of you for coming here and make yourself at home, and we'll try to carry out the city's business here tonight. Let the record show that this is a regular City Council meeting for Monday, August the 20th, year 2012, Jasper City Hall, 465 South Main Street. Let the record show that it is 6 p.m. Central Daylight Time. Let the record further show that all members of the Jasper City Council are here. With that, would you like to have one of our scouts to lead us in a word of prayer?
Got a couple bashful ones here right now. I'm not sure about it.
Okay, Alton, would you do that for us?
Yeah, sure. All right, we got a volunteer.
Okay, so would you get up and give us a prayer, please?
Can we stand up?
Yes.
Yep.
Take off your hat.
Say it loud.
Lord, thank you for letting us be here tonight and be able to discuss about our city. We thank you for all that made it here safe, and that we will be able to leave here safe. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen.
Okay, Lloyd, would you, before we get started here tonight, would you tell us the Scout Troop 932, who they are?
Yeah, Troop 932, we have Fred McVeigh here, one of our leaders, and then his son is Wade McVeigh. And then we have Charlie here. Charlie, what's your last name? What is it? Causey. He's brand new. I forgot. I should know him, but he's been gone all summer after he joined, so he's back with us again. And we'll have Coley Persons here, hopefully, and maybe Jack McDaniel, who are both marching with the band this evening.
Well, we thank you all for coming, and any questions that you have about City Hall, or if you want to take a tour of the city one day, maybe the police and fire department, where the water comes from and where the water goes and all that sort of stuff, you get with us and we'll get that set up for you. You may be young people, but you're citizens here just as much as anyone else, and we appreciate you for being here. Okay, up next we have the departmental reports. As the city council members have received their packets well ahead of time, they should have had time to go through all the various things, and there may be a question or a concern. Okay, I don't have any public comments for filed with the city secretary. Okay, so we'll move past that. Now we move to items for discussion and or action. Number one is the, under tab number 1 is the consideration of approval of 3 sets of minutes. Regular city council meeting July the 9th, 2012, emergency call city council meeting August 1st, 2012, and a special call city council meeting and budget workshop that took place on August the 9th, 2012. I have a motion. Motion made by Mrs. Johnson. Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Second by Mr. Hobson. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record show that the measure passed unanimously. Consider request from Mr. Charles Gee regarding the National Wildlife and Scenic Rivers System. Mr. Gee?
Do I need to come up there?
Mr. Gee, you can go anywhere you want to. You can
Okay.
stand back in the back up here.
What I asked for was a consideration by the city council to reconsider an act of June the 8th of 2009, where the city minutes show that the city approved support for the Wild and Scenic River project that was presented by Richard Clower and along with the Texas Conservation Alliance. And I am here tonight to ask you to rescind that and be against the Wild and Scenic River. And I've given you some in your packet there was some, a few Wild and Scenic River things. One thing I'll do is, so you'll know how much this affects Jasper, I have a copy of the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality permit. And I'll read just a couple of sentences here. Jasper, Texas is authorized to treat and discharge waste from the city of Jasper wastewater treatment facility, SIC code 4952, located approximately 0.8 of a mile east of intersection Farm to Market Road 2799 and 777, and approximately 1 mile northeast of intersection US 190 and State Highway 63 in Jasper County, to Sandy Creek, thence to B.A. Steinhagen Lake, segment number 0603 of the Natchez River Basin. Now, the reason I say it like that, the Natchez River Basin is what we're talking about. What kind of got this started, Senator K. Bailey Hutchinson introduced a bill in the Senate in Washington, Senate Bill 2324, and it wants to make the area of the Natchez River from Lake Palestine to Dam B a wild and scenic river. And I'm against that, because I don't think we need a wild and scenic river, because we'll lose control of the Natchez River Basin, which includes, everybody knows about the Angelina River, knows about the Toyac River. We all know about Sandy Creek right here. And if they get the wild and scenic river, if the city of Jasper doesn't have some ordinance to protect this the way it is or the way it's supposed to be, then the government will come in and make us have an ordinance and tell us how to do it. And I was looking at the map over there earlier today, and Coon Creek, which I don't know if everybody knows about it or not, it's off just on Varna up there. Coon Creek comes from all the way above 2800, all the way down. It ties into Sandy Creek. That'll be Coon Creek will be in the deal. Above 2800, there's some creeks that run north into the Angelina River, and we'll lose control of that. Basically, we'll lose control of everything. And we had a fellow in St. Augustine said, well, we're not concerned about the wild and scenic river. Well, Ash Bowl runs right through the middle of St. Augustine, just like the Sandy Creek does here. And yes, Ash Bowl dumps into where? Dumps into Angelina. Where's Angelina dump? Dumps into the Natchez. So they've got control of all that. And what I wanted to show you here on there, you have your, it says Public Law 9542, written in 1968. There's 3 designations: wild river, scenic river, recreation river. Now, the 4 paragraphs after that are in the law, and I just want to make you aware of what the law says. The Secretary of the Interior and the Secretary of Agriculture are each authorized to acquire land and interest in authorized boundaries. Reads down a little further, and then they'll say, well, you don't have right, you can't take my land. Nothing contained in this section shall preclude, notice the word shall preclude the use of condemnation when necessary for the purpose of clearing title or acquiring scenic easement or other easements reasonably necessary to give public access. River means flowing body of water or estuary or a section, portion, or tributary thereof, including rivers, streams, creeks, runs, rills, hills, and small lakes. Scenic means the right to control the use of land, including the airspace above such land, for the purpose of protecting the scenic view. And those are just some points I wanted to make you aware of, and I would ask you to consider a resolution that you're not in support of the wild and scenic river. You have a copy of the Texas Forestry Association position statement on that, and if there's no questions, I'll stand adjourned unless there's some questions.
Does any council member have questions?
What is bad about having a designation? I mean, other than, are you just afraid of losing control, or?
You will lose control.
But I mean, what control does that restrict? I mean, what does having a scenic river, what is it?
That means the government tells you what to do.
Okay.
Essentially what it is, Randy, is if this legislation goes through, it will be another layer of bureaucratic control over our local resources. My family, about 10, 12 years ago, lost some property on Sam Raider to the Corps of Engineers back in '93 when we had that flood, which eventually led to the creation of that weir up behind the dam. And there is no negotiation with the federal government. When they make a decision that this is something that they want to do, they do it, and that's it. It's going to be adverse if it passes to people's use of their own property, to timber production and timber revenues, and maybe even a bigger consideration that we need to look at is, I don't know how many of you get the Texas Co-op magazine. This month, there are 3 excellent articles in there about the importance of water. And implicit in this legislation is yet another control of our local water, okay, which we do not need to be giving away. These articles, I would strongly recommend that if you haven't read it, I know most of the people here probably live inside the city limits and you're not on the REA, so you don't get the magazine, but if you can get it, read those articles, they're excellent. It's talking about the population growth in the state. We're already seeing the battle lines being drawn for water rights, and we better not be giving away any more of our local resources and assets to the federal bureaucracy, because we're probably going to need it ourselves. And the proponents of this legislation are people that are conservationists. They are concerned about being able to paddle the river and saving the animals and the wildlife, and that's which are all great. Yay and amen. We are all behind conservation, but there are some unintended negative consequences which will come with this legislation if it passes. And I think that we would be wise to rescind that letter of endorsement for the legislation and reverse our course and actually come out against it. And I would like to see as well our county commissioners, because this could have, these guys could unwittingly, if they support this, it goes through legislation, they could be killing businesses which generate tax revenues that the county needs to operate on. So it's very important that people find out actually what is behind it. Who are the ones that are proposing the legislation? What the pros are, and do they outweigh the cons? And I don't think they do here. So I would like to see the council move on that.
A point of order here, with the presenters presented before we go too much further in discussions. Do we have a motion?
Yeah, I'd make a motion that we rescind the previous endorsement.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion second. Now, we'll move forward with any more discussion.
2 things, Mike, if I may. The bill that Senator Hutchinson proposed is a separate bill from the Wild and Scenic River bill. In other words, her bill is one to propose a study. If the study happens and they say, well, we're going to have a Wild and Scenic River, then all of the rules and regulations take effect at that time, and we don't have any control. In other words, everything to Tyler to wherever they want to stop on the Nature's River. And if there's no further questions.
Any further questions or discussion? Let the record show that we have a motion by Mr. McMillan and a second by Mrs. Hazel Johnson. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition? The record showed that it was unanimous. Okay, consider a table item. This is item number 3, and that is the council to consider the appointment of a JEDCO board member. Carrie Ellis is Executive Director of JEDCO. She is here.
Last month we had 1 opening, and this month we have actually 2 openings with Jimmy Ellis putting forth his resignation for the board. So the JEDCO board would like to recommend Kai Griffin and Randy Sayers for appointment to the board.
We have a motion. Motion by Mrs. Johnson. Is there a second? Second. Second by Alton Scott. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Let the record show that passed unanimously.
This one is the Caroline County.
Yeah, while you're up here, go ahead and go down to that. That is the number 5. No. 4. Yeah, okay, I don't know why I'm looking way down the list for it. Okay, we then move to consider tabled item, council to consider tax abatement for Tara Kim is allowed under the city policy.
Okay, Mr. Robertson is here again this month, and last month we came to city council and asked for the tax abatement under the city's policy, and y'all wanted some numbers as far as their tax valuation. We talked with the appraisal district, and they gave us a printout of the evaluation for the land and the building and the 2 storage buildings. A separate evaluation was conducted on the industrial section of the plant. We do not have the paperwork on the industrial section yet, but everyone has signed off on it, just hasn't come into the appraisal district yet. That valuation, the one on the land and the buildings is $474,008. The industrial portion is just over $2 million. So the estimate from the appraisal district for the total taxes for this year will be $7,616.98. And under the city's policy for the first year, 70% of that would be abated, which is $5,331.89. So the total to the city for the first year would be $2,285.09. And of course, that would increase over the next 5 years until the abatement was fulfilled.
Do we have a motion?
I do, I think we should go ahead and pass it, abatement.
Motion by Mr. McMillan, do we have a second? Second by Mrs. Johnson. Do we have further discussion or questions? Are you guys up and running right now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Let the record show it passed unanimously. Next we have
Bob,
number.
thank you. Sorry for the delay.
Oh, no, I appreciate it very much.
We thank you, sir, for attending the meeting tonight. Is there anything you'd like to add?
No, we have been thrilled to be part of the Jasper community, and we appreciate the support that the city's given us, particularly with this. It's the first year of operation, that's a big help. Thank you very much.
For the council's knowledge, we're waiting word from the Sam Rayburn Municipal Power Agency, which will meet on the 28th. Hopefully, the electrical economic development rate we might have in place by that time. There was no opposition to that at the SRMPA meeting. All the member cities seemed to support it in principle, but they wanted to get some figures and to work it up. So we hope that we'll have some more. And you say that you're glad to be here in Jasper. Let me tell you that we're glad to have you here in Jasper, and we're proud that you're providing some jobs in our community.
Thank you very much.
The door at City Hall is always open, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, we have next, number 5, the Jack McKenzie Charitable Trust. Tommy has brought this to us before. He has more information as this continues to move forward.
We received the proceeds from this charitable trust that was set up back in when J.F. Parnell was superintendent. I have one page of the will, but anyhow, we received $244,202.28, and the stipulation is that we're to receive it. We have it in hand, and it says to be used in construction of a permanent improvement or for the benefit of the Jasper Public School System. Such improvements to bear the name of my father, Daniel Jackson McKenzie, who is this gentleman's father, and then cease. So the next step being, we need to give somebody authority to get with the school. We're the trustee on this. Our thought was a couple of us meet with them and tell them what we have, and then they could submit like proposals to us, and the city has final authority to say okay or whatever on that. The total though was $244,202.28. So, and it stipulates the permanent structure that we will build for that money.
Now, this money has to be used in conjunction with the school system.
Yes, sir.
That's a condition of the will. Has there been any discussion with the school at this point of what they want to do with it at all?
No, sir. We had to apply, you had to sign off on all the paperwork and everything, and then it came forth, and we have it in an account right now. But what I read to you is right off the codicil of the will. It came to us, and it's to be used in construction of a permanent improvement or for the benefit of the Jasper Public School System. Such improvement to bear the name of Mr. McKenzie.
Can it be used in concert with other monies to build something bigger?
I had that thought, that could possibly, you know, as long as they said.
Like you said, for a school purpose, 244,000 is certainly not going to be a very big building.
It just has to bear his name.
It just has to bear his name, you know, if they wanted to take some of their funds to put with it and build a all-purpose center or whatever, but it would have to have Mr. McKenzie's name.
For you out in the audience that may be wondering what we're talking about, if we hadn't been in a previous meeting, there was a very rich man that used to visit Jasper back in the 40s and 50s or something like that. And lo and behold, when he died here recently, they found that in his will, he wanted this $244,000 to come to be used for the education in Jasper. So but the city's not getting the money, we're just the holder of it. In other words, the will orders us to hold the money and act as and then to give it, make sure that it's spent legitimately.
He funded scholarships out of this same thing, and I apologize, I didn't go all the way back, but it was like every year they gave the McKenzie scholarship, and it's like $500. I want to say 20 deserving students, and that went out of the trust. And then stipulation, 21 years from the death of my last survivor of my brothers and sisters, trustee shall deliver the remain of the trust estate and accumulated income to the city of Jasper, Texas. So he funded it till 21 years after his last descendant or sibling passed away, and this was a stipulation in there. So he did a lot of work, a lot of good for the students in Jasper County over the years even. So, but someone needs to set a committee or whoever needs to go sit down with the school and tell them what we have and get their recommendations and come back.
You'd like to do that, Hazel? Okay. Who else on this council would like to do that? Hazel, why don't you then just go with the city manager, and you go. Denise, would you go with them? And because if we put many members of the council on, then we're going to have a problem with the Open Records Act. I mean, open meetings. So that we said, if that's okay, is that okay with the rest of the council?
Yes.
Okay.
We need that in the form of a motion.
Yes.
Make a motion that Hazel Johnson join Tommy Boykin and Denise Kelly and work this out with the school.
Okay, but then, okay, do we have a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mr. Hobson. Okay, in the discussion of it, then this group though will not spend anything. You come back to us.
Correct.
And tell us what we're going to do, and then this council will move to spend it on whatever. Okay, any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Let the record show that it passed unanimously. Up next is item number 6, consider TML intergovernmental employee benefits accrual continuation coverage administration agreement. Tell us about this, Tommy. I've already read through it.
Joe Whitener's here. He could
Joe?
probably explain it more so, but it's our health insurance, and this is just a continuation contract. So
Isn't this where they're taking administration of COBRA?
Yes, that's exactly what it is. I don't know why they require a council meeting whenever the city manager can sign off on all the medical benefits. This is really just for people that resign from the city. Under federal law, you have 18 months of coverage under something called COBRA. the Consolidated Omnibus Budget Reconciliation Act. And so basically, they send the materials to the ex-employee. They charge us $50 a month for anyone that happens to sign up for it.
So it's your recommendation that we sign the administrative agreement with them?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we do just that.
Motion by Mr. McMillan, second by Ms. Johnson. Any discussion on this matter? All those in favor say aye. Any opposition? The record show that passed unanimously. Did we just recently go up on the city's hospitalization?
Yeah, well, it will in October the 1st. There'll be an increase of 11%
Okay.
across of our medical plan.
And that was to keep just our present coverage?
Yes.
All the city employees know about this?
Yes, they do.
Okay. We have up next item number 7, consider request from Chief Harlan Alexander. First of all, requesting authority to override a portion of the Jasper Police Department's policy and procedure manual for hiring and promotions. And I guess we'll address that first.
Well, 40 years in law enforcement, I've been accused of everything but being a public speaker. Here it goes. I need to hire 2 or 3 people to replace vacancies I have in my department. I also need to promote some people and move them around on my staff. According to the police policy manual, we have to go through a lengthy testing and they have to go before a board for approval, and which is going to take considerable time. I'm in a position where I need to go ahead and be able to do something with these positions I have open.
Okay, and so what you're wanting is to differentiate from these policies that have been adopted by this council in previous years.
That's right.
Okay.
Our policy manual hadn't been rewritten in, what, Buddy? How many years? 2000.
Buddy, you wrote the last one, didn't you?
Guilty.
That's probably what's wrong with the whole deal right there.
We are starting to put together a new policy manual when we get it together, and these will
Who's
probably...
putting it together?
Sir?
Who's putting it together?
Connie?
Okay.
No, we're all working on it. Connie's going to be the main person on it. We'll put it together, and then we'll get together and go over it, and then we'll present it to y'all.
Okay, council, we got questions?
Mr. Alexander, I think you're doing a good job, but I just don't think it's a good idea to stray away from the city council's approval. You know, we've had a lot.
No. This is not the city council approval. This is to override the policy manual, not the city charter. This is the police policy manual.
What part of the policy manual are we going to override?
Where
What are you
I don't have to go through a bunch of testing and everything. And this is just a temporary deal. At this point, to promote people and stuff like that. Now the hiring, when it comes to hiring or discharge people, then whatever y'all want to do with it, back come for y'all every time, that's up to y'all. Right now, the main thing I want to do is be able to promote people at will.
Counselor, does this cause any problems?
I don't think so. The department itself, the police department, can set its own policies and guidelines. And typically that is what is done. And when the policy and procedure guidelines has been prepared, then they bring it to the council for approval. But the police department has its own policy and procedure guidelines that are kind of different than the city policy and procedure guidelines, in that it deals with the police law enforcement advancement and things of this nature. We're talking about policy and procedures that have been adopted within the department by the council. You're not dealing with the charter, just dealing with department procedures, so it's really kind of up to the council to set those guidelines. I think what the chief is trying to do is to deviate from the existing guidelines to allow him flexibility to make.
Some people in the back saying they can't hear. We don't have a microphone to the table. If anybody wants to move up closer. We don't have any microphones over there.
You want me to go ahead and take the podium on?
Yeah, you can do that. Take the podium. That's a good idea. That way everybody, Councilman Johnson says she's not hearing as well.
I think what Chief Alexander is addressing is policy and procedures that have been established within the department. Again, I don't want to mix apples with oranges. It's not affecting the charter, and it's nothing to deal with the charter. And I think there is a provision that we'll address on the next item. But it's whether or not the chief has the flexibility to be able to make modifications as to policy and procedures within his department, which had been previously approved by the council. And now I believe what Chief Alexander is wanting to do is to modify those or amend those policy and procedures within his department. And he's asking the council permission to do that policy deviation.
Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Just to modify some existing policies and procedures
Yes.
and then bring them back to us for approval?
When we gonna make a, but I want to override what we got right now. Right now, we have 3 policy manuals down there. Only one of them's been approved.
Okay.
And that's the one that Buddy and them wrote back in 2000. There's 2 more in existence down there, but they've never been approved.
Well, they're null and void.
That's right.
So I think what he's asking is that he's asking the council permission to begin to rewrite some of the existing policies
Well,
or make alterations to
I want to alter some of the policies right now.
Could we take a look at that, the changes before we vote on that?
I thought I had put them in here, but I'm sorry I haven't.
And
Let me ask this question. What you're wanting to do is you're basically wanting the promotion and the hiring policies to be suspended for a temporary time while you write a new policy manual.
Correct.
Say that again, Mike?
As I get it, he wants to temporarily suspend the policies in the police manual that pertain to hiring, demotion, and promotion until they write a new policy manual. Is that correct?
That's correct, except I have nobody I want to
This is not to be confused with the charter. Everything that he's talking about is something that the council, is a document that the council has approved in previous years. You said 2000?
yeah. It's already in here, I think, the old policy manual, the old policy for promotions.
I've only got, I guess, one question I'd like to, I think we're in a pretty good fix right now because in the past, the process was kind of passed by. Until we can come to some kind of agreement on the policy that y'all are writing down, would there be, I don't think that'd be a great problem, but kind of including the city council in, you're not in the decision making, but once you've made those decisions, bring it before the city council just on a one-time basis. You know, here's what I want to do. What do y'all think of that?
Now, are you talking about on the promotions or are you talking about on the manual?
Well, yeah, just the one-time.
Excuse me.
Yeah, because it sounds to me like we're gonna do a whole lot of promoting and here at one time.
Well, I've got about 3 positions
Right.
that I need to do some promoting in, right?
Excuse me. If you look in the Bible information tab, you'll find the policy that he's talking about. Right in front of information.
Where are they?
Inform the information tab.
The very back of the
Very back of
departmental
police
report,
report.
on the last two pages.
Next tab. First tab.
Here it is right here, man. Right in front of the page today.
First tab.
So for the record, you're asking the department to temporarily suspend not the entire police
No, just-
procedure manual, but
Just,
specifically 3.501 through 3.800
right.
for an indefinite time. or-
No, wait a minute now, 501, that will be a different situation there, because I don't mind coming and asking y'all to let me hire some people, which I intend to do tonight. And discharge someone. I'd come before y'all with that, but the main thing right now I want to get done is being able to promote some people within the department.
How will that change from what the policy is now?
I won't be giving tests and stuff.
You won't be given tests.
Yeah. In the prior administrations, they gave the test and stuff and then went on promoted who they wanted to anyway, so it wasn't followed anyway.
Don't you think it's a good idea to get the test, Mr. Alexander?
I think it's a good idea
Yeah, then
on
you
a
have
long-term
qualified.
deal, but right now, I'd rather not do that.
Tell me why.
Because it'd take me 2 months.
In my opinion, I'd rather these people be tested, to make sure that they can, they're all qualified with, it doesn't matter how long it takes to test them, We've had a lot of problems in the past with unqualified people. So, my opinion is that we go ahead the way we have for now. You can speak to the microphone. Oh, I'm sorry. Everybody here?
Okay, the request is requesting authority to override a portion of Jasper Police Policy and Procedure Manual on hiring and promotions. So if we want to do this, a motion would be in order, and then we can further discuss.
Well, in this procedure, it says the chief of police will be responsible for managing the department's selection responsibilities. You still have, I'm assuming that means that you could choose based on your criteria.
I wouldn't do it that way, though. If I gave a test, if I went through all of this,
No, I'm saying if you didn't want to give this, it says the chief of police shall be responsible for managing the department's selection responsibilities. Where does it say you have to test?
3.8, down the third one says chief will maintain.
Well, investigations, fingerprinting, and other
the
candidates.
chief will
Which you could do
maintain
anyway.
procedures used for the promotion. And that's evaluating potential candidates, administrating written tests.
Which number is that? No, we're talking
Oh,
on
look at
personnel
3.
selection.
Look at 3.
That's what I'm reading.
3.800, item 3.
80. Might I make a suggestion? I would assume that you just pass this by Frank Calvert and see if this causes us any problems.
Well, you have the authority to approve it or disapprove it. It's up to y'all. Just like the new policy manual, this will be in the new policy manual as is. What I'm asking just for a temporary deal.
What do you think down there, guys? I mean, did y'all have, I mean,
I don't think we ought to be taking any action on anything like this at this time,
and
due to the circumstances that we're in.
that's what I was talking to you about the other day.
No, me and you were talking about hiring and discharging people.
We would still approve those, yes, but this is kind of the,
I'll make a motion to table.
Okay, we have a motion to table. Do we have a second to table? Who's it? Okay, Alton, motion to table, second by Alton Scott. Is there any, all those in favor of tabling, say aye. Any opposition? Let the record show this passed unanimously. However, I think that we need to study this, we need to get with the police chief, and we need to, because he's telling me, and I think the message I'm getting here is that time is of the essence. Am I correct, Mr. Alexander? Okay, so time is of the essence. So what I'm saying is let's discuss, let's research. Council members, do not violate the Open Meetings Act, but two of you can go to talk to one, or two of you can go and talk to him at a time and not have a quorum. But to do all the research on this, let's hold a workshop, let's do whatever we need to do, and this mayor will call a special meeting anytime that we can.
Can I say something?
Yes.
I'd like to say at this time that this can't be put off. This needs to be done. Parliament has done a whole lot down there to keep this department going smoothly and to make great progress. We, as far as I'm concerned, tomorrow's the day I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start with it tomorrow.
Well, I want to address something over here, if I may. 3.800, number 3, it says the chief will maintain procedures used for promotion. These procedures will address the following: evaluating the promotional potential of the candidates, administering written tests, conducting oral interviews prior to the appointment. Does that not mean you can have the authority to do, I mean, those tests and everything is in your hands?
That's up to y'all.
I think that's what he's telling.
Well, I mean, that's already there.
I think you have to point.
Okay, but then that goes against what they just said.
No.
And
I think we need a few days just to kind of mull this over.
And
Let's
we
just-
certainly don't
let's
want council ever doing something that the next day they're gonna say we should have done that.
Cool
So
our heels.
that's what tabling is about. And,
I think we got bid already with that.
okay, let's go to the second report of this, is requesting permission from the city council to delegate the police department employment decisions to his discretion. And most, as we found out about a year ago or so, is that the charter states that the city council has to give him permission to hire or fire. 4.03, is that correct, to the city charter? And you have a situation there now where you have indicated that you have someone that you need to dismiss.
That's correct.
Okay. Do we have a motion on that?
Make a motion that he dismiss the employee in question.
I second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Let the record show it passed unanimously. Next, number 8, consider support of Ethan's grant application to the Center for Disease Control Community Transformation Grant. The East Texas Health Access Network, do we have someone from the city's administration who would like to speak on this?
It was sent to me. I sent one to the city manager in support of this grant, and we formulated this one for y'all's approval. It just recommending them to receive this grant from the Center for Disease Control.
We have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Mr. Scott. We have a second?
Second.
Second by Randy Sayers and Hazel. Hazel, I think he got it first. Okay, second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Consider up next, consider TMRS ordinance authorizing and allowing updated service credits and cost of living adjustments for city retirees. Mr. Whitener.
This is the annual event on this, I guess. Some of you have sit through this before. What I've tried to give you here is some basic terminology to be able to understand the cost projection on this, which is attached there on about the third page. While retirement benefits depend on the sum of the employee's contributions to the plan, which are 7% with interest, and the city finance monetary credits with interest. The way the pension plan actually operates is the employee contributes 7% of their gross salary on a monthly basis. At the point in which they retire, then the city matches that at $2 for each dollar that they contribute. Now, at the beginning of the plan in February of 1960, the city granted monetary credits equal to approximately 2 times what the employees initially would have contributed had they had a plan. And that basically created an unfunded liability. Nomenclature that actually defines the current cost of an employee's benefit for retirement for that year is called the normal cost, and the rate for that is the normal cost contribution rate. If you go to page 4, on the first, when you see the projections there on the plan summary, you'll see that where it says contribution rates, the normal cost rate currently is 6.1%. The prior service rate is 2.7%. So what that basically is for the prior liabilities on the plan, which are previous updated service credits, which we're going to talk about in just a minute, as well as the current cost of the plan. And those are the two majority costs that make up the retirement plan. And you'll see that the 6.1% currently plus the 2.17, so we currently have a base rate of 8.27%. Now, going back to the definitions again, on an updated service credit. An updated service credit is really an additional benefit that really only affects people that get promotions primarily, or for plan changes. And what they do is they take the promotional increases or any changes in the benefit plan that occurred since the employee was initially employed and give those people a credit which would make up for that benefit that they might have lost. Well, in the current Jasper plan, we haven't changed the benefit levels in many, many years, so that really doesn't come in too much into play. But most of the people, of which there would be approximately 6 to 8, that are going to be into this calculation this time would be for promotions. Would be people, well, most of our supervisors have gotten these over the past few years because they were all employees that were promoted into supervisory positions. Or people such as Greg Kelly, or this time would be Tommy Hoyt. And those are people who got promotions over the years. So what it does is it goes in and takes a look at their current compensation level and then backdates that on a hypothetical basis as if they'd had it for their whole career. That basically is what an updated service credit is all about for the city of Jasper. This credit does not have a significant financial impact in the Jasper plan as it has in many other major cities. In order to be eligible for a credit, an employee must have at least 36 months of planned service participation for this particular one as of December 11th. So what you're looking at is 36 months as of December the 11th in order to even be eligible to be reviewed. We also have a high employee turnover rate. We don't have that many promotions. We've not made the plan revisions, as I said, for many years, and we currently have a 7% contribution rate. And what we're talking about here is a hypothetical calculation. And I will go through, if you're that interested, on the third page, exactly how they calculate this. But basically what they're doing is they're taking a look at this supposed lost benefit, making you whole throughout your career, and they compare it against your actual account balance that TMRS maintains for you as an employee. If in fact your current account balance is already as large as this hypothetical calculation, then they just stay with the current account balance. It would only be if your current account balance is lower than this benefit, then they would actually make an adjustment. And as I said, because we did this last year, there are only about 6 to 7 people that would be eligible to even be looked at. You also cannot get this benefit until you retire. If you do not retire, you will never get this benefit, assuming that you have it. And so as a result, as I said, if we take a look at the cost of this thing, again on that page 4 right there, you'll see that the total cost on the unfunded actuarial liability is a total of $29,889. And so for the approximately 8 people that would be eligible for the credit, that would be the total cost to the plan of Jasper. It runs about that each year that we've done these.
What did you say with the total cost?
29,000, you'll see it right on, if you look at page 4 right there. Yeah, well, it's $29,889 is the total cost that's been projected, and it'll be amortized over a 15-year period. Because on all of these, what they call ad hoc benefits, both this one and the COLA.
Well, the amount you have above that is based on, it says average monthly payroll. Is that a monthly expense? Or is that
Yes,
annual?
the
That's
total
monthly.
rate for the pension plan is based on the actuaries actually go in and compute your total liabilities on both of these, the normal cost rate and the prior service rate. And they're
So
expressed.
approximately $30,000 a month, or thereabout, or
Not a month.
$360,000 a year.
It'd be 30,000, 29,889
Per year, yes. And they both,
less than $3,000 a month.
and they do it over a 15-year period. Whereas if it were going to be one of these prior service rate, if it were not an ad hoc benefit, the city had decided they would automatically do this every year. Then the actuaries would go in and project it forward, and then they would amortize it over a 25-year period instead of a 15. Because the city of Jasper reviews it on an each year basis, then the amortization of the cost is over the 15-year period. In fact, they recommend that you not do these, if you're doing ad hoc, that you don't do them every year. If you're going to do them every year, they would prefer that you let the actuaries build in the costs for you, and then they actually fund for it.
I would like to see the city management make some recommendations on this. I know y'all are also beneficiaries of this plan at the time, but I've talked to Anthony Mills with
TMRS, right?
and he went through this. Honestly, you lost me when you said we do this every year. Okay? I mean, this is a terribly complicated thing. I know that it's been a big issue for a lot of cities, some of which are going bankrupt. Not to say that we are, but you know, we want to make sure, we should be wanting to make sure that we're not writing checks that we can't cash 15, 20 years down the road from now. And every one of these towns that are in financial troubles are pointing to these pensions as a primary cause for that. And, you know, we're just elected. We don't know how this stuff works. And this is way too complicated. And you've done a good job. I mean, I can tell you know what you're talking about. I don't know that I can absorb it. Anthony has offered to come do a workshop for us, And whether we pass this thing tonight, in fact, he offered to come tonight, and I said, no, I don't have the authority to set that up. I said, I think we need to, ask the other council members, but I would like to have a workshop on this, and evidently we need to get with Chief Alexander, and get some issues worked out there as well. And maybe next week sometime, have Anthony come talk to us, explain to us how this works.
Are you about to make a motion to table?
That's what I need to do. I'll make a motion to table this.
Motion to table, do we have a second? Second by Mr. Hobson. All those in favor of table, say aye. Any opposed? There is none. Go to item number 11, or no, item number 10. Discuss and consider a change in the city's charter, 3.01G, term limits call for election. Now, I, as the mayor, put this on here because I heard a lot of people talk about it, how some people have to leave the council due to term limits and not due to the fact that they've been voted out. This is an issue that would have to be put to the people. This could not be made by this council. It would have to be voted on by the people. Now, before we get too far off into this, I learned two things after we got into this that I didn't know, and I don't know that anyone here at City Hall knew. The Texas government code says that you can only, and I did not know this when I put this on here, so if you want to vote it down, that's fine, or if you ask me to remove this from even being discussed, I'd be whatever. But what happened is that after we put this on the agenda, I think way after you all had your agendas, Robbie called me and told me that she was doing some research and found that the city's charter can only be modified, not by city law now, but by state law. It can only be modified every 2 years. So, talked to the city's attorney about this, and he confirmed. And so if we want the people to change the term limits or not, that's their decision. We cannot make it. But there is a whole lot of things, folks, in this charter of ours, which was written in 1927, that needs to be changed. And if we make a change at this point, then when was the last time it was done, Holly?
It was adopted in 64.
This one was adopted in 64. And it's been like one change since that time, or two, I think. So, if you want to discuss it or make a motion, fine. If it dies due to motion, lack of motion, I understand.
Let's make a motion to table indefinitely. Well, that's what it just said. We've got things we've got to change.
Well, what you can...
Change that, I'd rather change other things.
Okay, well, if we don't have a motion or a second, then it moves no further. We have a motion or a second? Okay. Number 11, consider and discuss a hotel occupancy tax building for the Christmas in the park and the special events. Mr. City Manager.
This is the same building we discussed in our budget workshop, and Ms. Kelly provided you with information on the size.
Well, that was just an estimate. That was just something that Mr. Greg Kelly sent out just to get some estimates on some bids and some prices, just so that we could come back to you to discuss it. As you all know, we've accumulated and purchased and built quite a bit of equipment and stuff for Christmas in the park and our special events. Our electrical warehouse and our public works warehouses, they are overcrowded with things hanging from the rafters, leaning against the wall, covered up, just having a place to keep all of the decorations and trolleys and trains out of the weather in order to preserve the light. We just proposed to use motel money to build a building. We have the property. It's up at the Public Works building on High Truett, and it's in a completely fenced-in area. But it would be accessible for Mr. Wade and his crews to go in and load those big pieces up and put them in the park in one secure place to keep it all together instead of piecemealed all over the place. I think Mayor Lowry also saw that they were quite busy on it. So this was just something that we wanted to bring to you to ask permission to proceed further with it. I mean, because of the size, I mean, they've even looked at a little bit bigger size than what we had originally talked about, or they had just looked for bids. We would have to go out for bids on it. So,
Mayor, I'll make a motion to proceed with that.
Motion by Mr. McMillan to proceed with using the hotel occupancy tax money for the Christmas in the park and special events decorations. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Johnson. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Let the record show that passed unanimously. We go next to the consideration of the tax code, not tax code, but consider a tax anticipation note that was mentioned in the recent budget session that we had here.
that's also if you will notice, there was a single sheet of paper that I placed in front of you. After we had our budget workshop meeting, I discussed it with our financial analysis out of Houston. And he talked to me and said that in order for us to do the capital improvements and the street improvements, we would go the general obligation route. But he said our capital improvements would only be on a payout schedule of 7 years, and our streets over a 20-year period. If we choose to proceed with it, then he will start the paperwork on his end. He will come back and he will present a resolution to you to approve with an intent to issue a debt. And then it's posted for 30 days. And then we come back and they fund on it. It will probably be, depending on days, I mean, there has to be, y'all have to agree to sign the resolution and stuff. So we might, if y'all have some special meetings, be able to put that resolution in there instead of having to wait till October the 20th and November the 20th to get the 30 days going, because we cannot post it in the paper or anything until the resolution is signed by council. So my request is just that you authorize me to tell him that yes, that's what we want to do. Now, if there's any time up until we go to all the work, up until we bring the resolution to you to approve, if for any reason you have a doubt or you just decide you just don't want to do it as a city council, we are not obligated to do it until you sign that resolution.
How much are we talking about again?
We're talking about approximately $2.9 million, $3 million in capital improvement, which is the capital needs for the whole city for over a 3-year period, and then $1.5 million in street improvements.
That's amortized how long?
The streets will be amortized over 20 years, and the capital equipment will be amortized over 7 years. And this is in order to keep our tax rate as it is, without raising it and without lowering it. We have, we have an excess, but we have to, he just does not recommend making any major changes, because we have I know some people don't think it's very low, but 0.293 is a low tax rate for a city. So it will be fine.
We've done this kind of financing before.
Yes, sir, we did one in 2008. We did the tax anticipation, nothing. We didn't include the streets, because at that time, we had the JETCO money, that we had a street fund set up that we were getting half of the funds from JETCO that was voted on by the citizens of Jasper.
Have we paid that obligation on?
No, it's a 7-year too.
Okay.
That's,
So this would kind of overlap that.
yes,
Would
yes.
there be any problem with paying it?
No, sir. We need the debt
Okay.
to keep our tax rate like it is.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we proceed with that.
Motion by Mr. McMillan. Second. Second by Mr. Scott. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Let the record show that it passed unanimously. Up next is council to discuss and consider to rescind or modify agreement with the Deep East Texas Council of Governments concerning changes in the radio communication system. I put this, asked this to be put on the agenda, and the reason that I did is that we basically signed the city manager did an agreement with the COG for the modification of the radio systems. and I, as mayor, and anyone else has not been afforded any information from anyone or any assurance that they will not interrupt our communications as it is now. I don't know how many of you know this, but as we speak tonight, for the first time in the history of Jasper that I know of, our police cars out here on the street tonight cannot talk with the Jasper County Sheriff's Department, and they cannot talk with the police department. Am I right, Chief? And I think that this is idiocy. I think it's very poor planning. I think that it's poor judgment. I worked in the communications industry for many, many years. When it comes to discussing the transition to wideband to narrowband, I was around whenever we went from 15 kilohertz to 7.5. Now we went to 5. Now we're going to 2.5. So transitions are not new to me. And the other thing that I'd like to add is that the transition, well, the way they're going about it, we don't need an interruption in our communication services. And I think the best thing we could do is rescind this agreement with the Deep East Texas Council of Governments, and then move forward with some reassurance that we're not going to be interrupted in our communications. Do we have any motions?
I'll make that motion.
Make that motion by Mr. Sayers, second by Hazel Johnson. Do we have any discussion?
Discussion.
Go ahead.
We're going to be compatible on narrowband by the first of the year, right?
That's right.
Okay, and we've got new police cars and everything coming in, they don't have radios, so we're going to have to have radios anyway. The radios that car got provided, and it's free grant money, it's not costing the city anything. If we turn these down, we're going to have to buy radios. So what's wrong with keeping what you got?
Well, I'm going to say this, that most all of the radios that we've already got are narrowband compatible. And the mandate is to go to narrowband compatible, and almost every radio that we have within the city, with the police department is concerned, is already narrowband. What they're trying to dictate on us is a further conversion to digital technology, which I'm not against us having radios that are narrowband and digital compatible, but we don't have any problem making the deadline with what we've got.
I have some nephews in law enforcement also, one in the Houston area, and I talked to him about the digital radios, and he was telling me that they've got the kinks worked out of theirs, and so they can talk all over the state with it now. And once we get the radios, like I do, you get the kinks worked out of them, you can talk to anybody anywhere on them. And if a hurricane or anything hits you, you're going to need something to talk on. But you got to get bugs out.
Yeah.
And if it's a free radio and getting the bugs out, it ain't going to cost you a arm and a leg.
Well, Councilman, I'd answer that tonight, that through the leadership of DECCOG, if we have a hurricane tonight, we've got firemen, police, and sheriff's deputies right here in our county that can't talk to each other. And I've been involved in the transition of many systems, UHF, VHF, 800 meg, and there's no reason that had to be done that way. The Deep East Texas Council of Governments.
Well, what's the mandate for 2013? These radios that Deep East Texas Council has given us or granting us or whatever, they are compatible for what the mandate is for 2013?
Yes.
They are, and it's my understanding they can either be digital or analog with the switch conversion.
It's my understanding, but I haven't been told that. And the ones that they installed in the sheriff's department are my understanding, programmed digital only. And so therefore they can't talk to anybody else that's got narrowband or wideband radios.
But they can be programmed to go narrowband. You can program to go narrow, you can program digital to go narrowband.
Well, the digital and narrowband is two different radios, but they can work the same way. We have a motion and a second. Do we have any more discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to ask the chief, what's your take on this?
Me and her don't disagree on this.
I'm sorry?
Me and the mayor has already disagreed on this.
Okay.
Everybody's going digital. Right now, he's correct. We cannot talk to the sheriff's office. But everybody, we're one of the last ones that's not going digital. Am I not right, Mayor?
Not true.
Okay.
Well, come on, let's just
Bottom line
discuss
is
it, because without
everybody-
discussion, you know, you're not gonna solve anything, so.
Everybody's gonna be digital with us.
And we're gonna be dead in the water.
If we keep the radios or if we don't keep the radios?
We don't-
If we don't keep the radios, you're saying we won't be digital and everybody else will? And that cog is.
Now, I don't agree with the way they're doing it.
They've
They've sold us a bill, I mean, they've sold a bill of goods, it's not working like it's supposed to, it's not.
Well, and I'm not saying that we don't have to do it, Chief, but I'm saying, what I'm asking this council to do is to, foreseeing this until we find out what's gonna happen, and we'd enter back into it. Or we can go our own route. There is no mandate from the Federal Communications Commission to go digital.
What about the government?
The state is suggesting digital, but if you'll read their last curriculum or agenda that they just put out, they're saying it's an option. Now, my move would be for us to go with radios, to have radios that are compatible with either. But the radios that are not compatible, you don't necessarily need digital and everything you got.
Well, aren't we gonna take those radios that these are replacing and move them down to other departments so we can maintain contact that way?
Yeah, and we're gonna still have to buy some, but most all the radios that we've got are narrowband compatible as we speak.
Wouldn't it be better to buy some than all? There's gonna be some kinks in any of them we buy, I think.
Well, I would
I'm not
be,
sure.
myself, I would be totally for this transition if we had some assurance, if we had assurance that they were gonna come in and replace radios with narrowband compatible radios that everybody can talk to, and then when everybody can go digital, then switch them to digital, and let's do that route. But that's not what they've done at the Sheriff's Department. We got the Texas Ranger right here in Jasper, can't talk to anybody right now because of what's happened. This is not not smart thinking. Let me say this. I put it here before y'all tonight, and I want the council to do what they want to do on it, because I've done said my say on it, and if we have a major hurricane or something happen next week, and somebody gets hurt because they can't talk to the police car down the street from them, I don't want it to be on me.
Let me ask you a question. Whose idea was it to switch communication?
Well, there's basically been some mandates that have been put forth by the FCC, and they've been extended several times to go from wideband to narrowband analog, okay? And then the state started off pushing for everyone to go digital. In fact, they made it a mandate, but in their last few booklets that they put it out, they made it an option. Now, I can tell you what this is all about. This is about greed, and this is about people wanting to sell radios and radio equipment. I mean, it'd be great if Mr. Ratcliffe probably would like here today to say that all cell phones in Jasper are going back to analog bag phones, and he's the only supplier of them. So, I mean, but I don't think we should do that. So, any more discussion?
Just one item. If,
Are you here, sir, tonight about this?
Yes, sir.
Who are you?
Richard Lackey, I'm the Chief Angelina Fire Department. It does affect us because Jasper PD dispatches us on fires, wrecks, whatever.
Has there been any discussion with anybody concerning the fire department's transition?
No, sir.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to tell y'all guys. There ain't no plan. Here's the fire department out here. The Angelina River, which we dispatch for, and nobody's discussed anything with you people. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, as it stands
Yes,
now,
sir.
we have about 3 radios that will swap over to the narrow band. After that, we're lost. I have approximately right now 15 people that's on my fire department out there. Any one of y'all could have a wreck out there anywhere in our district. If we cannot talk, if y'all's department here cannot talk amongst ourselves, somebody could die. I mean, the federal government's come in here and really stepped on it.
Well, that raises a question of, has there never been any cooperation between the county and the city before? I mean, it sounds to me like everybody just buying their own stuff and sort of shooting in the wind, hoping it works.
Yeah, we don't have
The
money
sheriff, the sheriff got talked into this, and he was told that it would be a seamless transition if he was here tonight. What did he tell you, Harvey?
Well, he don't like it.
Okay.
He doesn't like what? He doesn't like
The
the
new radio system.
ones y'all have?
No, the one he has. But the thing, here's the only thing I'm gonna say about this. Is we're gonna be, who else isn't digital already besides us? I think it's us, Newton, I think maybe Newton
A
can
lot
go
of
either
them
way.
installed digital radios, but for instance, Sabine County has kept all their stuff in the narrowband mode. Just
But
to
they
avoid what we've got here in Jasper County.
Yeah, but haven't they took the new radios?
Yes. And I don't have any problem with us taking new radios if we can know how this is going to be implemented. But right now, we've handed some other people an agreement to do whatever they want to do.
My only point is communications. And what's eventually, we're not, you know, this stuff's free right now.
Well, what if they said a hanging noose was free?
Wow.
Would we take it?
Okay, whatever.
Can we accept the equipment and not
I don't
install
know.
it until we know how it's gonna be installed? Do we control that? Do we control that on this agreement?
I don't know nothing about this agreement. All I know is that the sheriff's department signed an agreement with them, and now, if it wasn't for cell phones, they couldn't talk to each other in their own department, much less talking with another department. Now, I can get up here on this wall and I can draw out to y'all voting receivers, selectivity, bandwidth, intermodulation, all this stuff, I could do it all night long, however long y'all want to talk about it. But the bottom line is we've given somebody an agreement to make a change, and we don't know how they're going to do it, or when they're going to do it, or how it's going to be done, or if we're going to be able to talk next week.
But we gotta start somewhere, and if these radios don't work, and we do wind up having to buy some, we have not spent any more money than we would have if we turned these down and then have to go buy them anyway. I mean, if it works, we've saved a ton of money. If it don't, then
In no worse shape.
we're back to square one.
You say y'all getting free radios? I wanna know how y'all get them. The fire department can't get them.
Have been mandated to the fire department's head. There's certain mandates for narrowband, for the city's already done it. Public Works is already narrowband, so is the PD, so is the Jasper Fire Department.
I'm not Jasper, I'm Angelina.
You're not concerned in this meeting then? Well, I'm not trying to be sharp, I'm smart. But the PD dispatches you now, and that's not gonna change none. It's the same radio in there. I mean, it's not gonna change, because the fire department hasn't been mandated to even go narrowband, am I correct, Mike? That's coming on
My
down.
understanding, all part 90.
You're wrong there.
All part 90 has to go narrowband.
Okay, well, that's up to the county to fund the rural fire departments, not
Yeah.
the city of Jasper. I'm sorry, I mean, I shouldn't even spoken this, but
We appreciate your
Okay,
input.
let's get this over. We got a motion, we got a second to rescind. I'm ready to call the vote. All those in favor? Didn't you make the motion, Randy? And Hazel seconded. All those in favor of rescinding, aye? Randy and Hazel, those against it?
No.
Okay. Those against, say no? How'd you vote? Okay, so it's 3-2. No other items on the agenda. This meeting stands adjourned.